from the sessions today. Let's start off with William. You had a very interesting session about the insurance and the digital economy.
Yes, definitely we did. And I think we have a few key points I would like to share now that I felt were very important. First of all, I think I think everybody can agree, technology is amazing. It can do pretty much anything in this day and age. The question is, you have so many opportunities, where do you start? And it comes down really to the data that you have. I think this saying has been quoted a few times today already, data is the new oil. And that's very, very relevant and important because without the right data, with the right data, you can do anything. I believe Bill was sharing how there was this company even, looking into dental insurance, because they managed to collect the Bluetooth information from a toothbrush. These kind of opportunities is really, really amazing, something that you would never have thought of before in the past.
I wouldn't like people to see my molar.
Data is very important. To
every part of the body now can be used as data.
That's true.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the teeth, right? So hair, eyes, face, facial recognition. Zainal, you're laughing over there. Okay, go ahead, William. Sorry.
I was saying ultimately, our DNA will be up there on the internet. That effectively people can actually, determine what kind of person you will be through your DNA.
Yeah, that could be the future. Maybe that's what we'll be discussing 2 years from now.
That's right.
In the fourth.
That's a very good point that you also asked your panelists about what could be the trends for the next ASEAN Insurance Summit in 2020. And I hope we'll be back. Go ahead, William.
And I did appreciate that, the panelists, they gave a very realistic, prediction on what's going to happen within the next 2 years. I think Professor Lutfei raised a very important point. I think even Jack Ma mentioned this, like the next few years, as much as we would wish otherwise, it could be very painful for the human race because there's a lot of disruption going on. It takes really some time for us to fully adapt and adjust to it. Eileen raised the point that mindset is very important. It's more important now than ever before for us to have the right mindset to move forward. Bill was saying that we have to be brave to embrace this technology challenge and rise up to it.
And of course, during my panel, Nusha and Anthony also mentioned that we just cannot disregard the human touch, right? Exactly. There has to be synergy between insurance technology and human face-to-face contact.
Yep. That was Woody's prediction, Dr. Woody Moo's prediction that we are going to be more connected in ways unlike anything we've had in the past. More connected, person to person, digitally, and so forth. And Woody felt that there is still definitely going to be a role for agents moving forward to become more advisors to really enhance that human touch that the insurance industry has and embraces. I believe that's the key points. I'd like to hear
Zainal
from Zainal.
Yes. Thank you.
Blending finance.
Yeah.
That was over my head. That was too much. That was too technical for me.
Well, it goes back to allocation of investments, I think, there are lots of savings out there. The problem with this part of the world is that most of the savings are actually in bank accounts. So what we need to do is move much of the savings over to the insurance industry, which has got a longer term investment horizon. And the idea here is how can then we utilize those savings for infrastructure projects, which would actually enhance the living conditions of people in this region. And from the perspective of the insurers, it's clear that they are looking at returns. And then when we buy insurance policies as well for savings, we are also looking at returns. So it's not, we can't blame them for that. But I think the point that at the panel discussion we're trying to actually assess is that how can we optimize those savings from the perspective of the insurance companies in terms of returns. I think the blended finance is certainly a means of opening up the universe in terms of investments because investments which before were too risky now becomes more attractive. So the roles as the sort of CGIF in terms of providing kind of guarantees is important. The fact as well that it was emphasized that the loans that they're trying to make available in less developed countries are in local currency. That's also very important because we've learned from the financial crisis in 1997 what happens when effectively you borrow in US dollars and you have to repay back in your local currency. Mm-hmm. And I think from the IFC perspective, they're quite happy to actually invest in countries, but they also have learned lessons from other countries in terms of what are the risks that might actually such investments will pose. And the call there was to ensure that there's sufficient standardization or regulation in place such that you make the market more attractive for their investments. Because I think IFC has played an important role in the past and will continue to do in the future, especially in the developing countries, to do this impact investing. I think our last panelist, Ms. Cham, is a good example of what can happen if you put money in the right place. Mm-hmm. He in the year 2000, before all this facilities were available, he was able, to an initiative, to galvanize the the funds such that he's able to actually do what he did. And what he has done is actually to transform, to some extent, help transform the insurance industry in Malaysia. So I think overall, our panel discussion was very informative. It's just that it's too bad that we don't have much more time to actually discuss all these issues.
But what about from your point of view? I mean, we're part of this ASEAN economic community. Are we optimizing the public-private partnership in infrastructure projects?
I think, from the context of ASEAN region ourselves now, in terms of countries with bigger sort of funds for investments, like Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, we are more investing locally. I mean, we're not looking at it from the perspective of ASEAN per se, but more in terms of investing, partly because of the regulations. The regulations in Malaysia, for example, now if you invest overseas, you require more capital, rightly so, I suppose. But the point was also made that much of the funds invested overseas was invested in homes in California. So you might wonder, what went wrong there. The issue about investing in ASEAN as well is the currency risk, and this is where multilateral bodies such as CGIF will have to play a role to ensure that there's matching between the funds that's available for investments and the returns that they get in terms of currency. So for ASEAN to actually grow on its PPP partnership, many of the countries in ASEAN will still probably have to depend on outside funds coming in. But it would be good if those outside funds from insurance companies within ASEAN itself. So the regulators have got a role to play here perhaps as well, that maybe we talk about having a specific class for infrastructure assets. I think that's good, because if you have that specific class and you define specifically what that means, then the regulator perhaps can give credit when such investments are made.
What about William? I mean, during our discussions about InsurTech, you're basically a chief data scientist, artificial intelligence. Are we really seeing a lot of investments taking place here in ASEAN, or particularly in Malaysia?
I believe it's coming. Mm-hmm. I think there's definitely a lot more awareness now about it, but definitely Singapore is still, there's so much research and so many really interesting things going on.
Advanced, yes.
In terms of investment and so forth, but we're getting there, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, for example, I used to be part of the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation. They did a lot of strategies to create more data scientists in Malaysia. They have a target of producing 20,000 data scientists in Malaysia by the year 2020. Mm-hmm. I mean, these kind of initiatives really help boost and fasten the adoption for data science and artificial intelligence here in Malaysia.
All right. So I think we've basically been able to wrap up our very interesting three panels over the last few hours. Let's give a big round of applause to our very talented moderators, William Yap, Chief Data Scientist, Artificial Intelligence Malaysia, and Zainal Abidin Muhammad Kasim. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Maybe next time we could have you on BBC World News. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause once again. What a treat and what a thought-provoking session, to say the least. Thank you very much once again. Rico Hizon, everybody, William Yap, and Mr. Zainal Abidin. Thank you, gentlemen. And now, before we officially close, I would like to invite you all to once again give a hearty, warm welcome to Mr. Patrick Tiao, the Chairman of ASEAN Insurance Council and CEO of AIA Singapore, to do his closing remarks.
All right, distinguished guests, AIC members, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. I know it has been a very long day, but I think there is truly a fruitful day and it's a very insightful day, right? And I thank each and every one of you for your participation and making it a success. For me, it has been my honor to be chairing this year's ASEAN Insurance Council meeting. And allow me just to take this opportunity as I close to thank all the sponsors once again, our great host Malaysia, Piam and Liam, as well as most important AIC Secretariat and the organizer of this event. Can we give them all a round of applause, please? Yeah. Today, we witnessed the robust exchange of thoughts, best practices, and innovation among ASEAN's insurance authorities, regulators, insurers, practitioners, professionals, as well as key stakeholders. You know, the theme is very apt for today's year's summit, the fourth industrial revolution and its impact on the ASEAN insurance industry. I dare say that today's discussion from the morning and this afternoon, we have gone beyond that. Today, we did not just discuss the revolution and its impact, we focus on what we, ASEAN, as a collective can, must, and will do to drive the fourth revolution. This is in keeping with the ASEAN 2018 vision for a resilient and innovative ASEAN. The first key takeaway for today's summit, personally for me, ready or not, the fourth industrial revolution is happening at breakneck speed, and it's no longer business as usual. I hope that you take that message home as well. Right? It's quite scary, like everybody was talking about scary, 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 right? Everybody is scared. That's why we need insurance. The three questions we must ask ourselves are these. One, what are the must-have technology for my organization to stay relevant? Two, what are the innovation that will propel my organization forward? And importantly, the third one, what must I do to make this a reality? Each of us must first take personal accountability for us to collectively inspire real change. There's so much opportunity out there, and the insurance industry can do much more to uplift and propel the growth of not just the industry, but the ASEAN community as a whole. You have heard a lot today that we can do much more. You have heard also a lot today that there's under-insurance everywhere. And I think also in terms of structured investing, and many, many, many much more. So with the right digital transformation strategy and implementation, we are well placed to actually provide standards of living for communities within ASEAN, better meet the changing needs of our diverse demographics, be it aging population or the increased incidence of chronic illnesses, as well as transform the customer experience to bridge ASEAN's protection gap much more effectively. What then are some of the ways in which we can collectively make a difference across ASEAN? Some of the best practice and recommendations put forth during all the plenary discussion should be taken seriously. There are many, many good ideas and insights during the discussion, some of which I personally have taken notes of. For example, pursuing digitally driven distribution channel strategies, leveraging data analytics and other digital tools to better assess risks as well as drive innovation in product development, and utilizing innovative business solutions to better engage the customer as well as give them better experience. There's so much takeaway, and I hope that you have enjoyed yourself in this third ASEAN Insurance Summit 2018. Equally important, the summit provides a springboard for greater collaboration for us to spur ASEAN's digital revolution together. I do hope we commit to seize the opportunity together and propel us to further success with the fourth industrial revolution as one collective ASEAN. Let me close by reminding all of us this important fact. The world as we know it is changing. Insurance as we know it is changing. Business model as we know it is changing. Customer as we know it is changing. So as such, we need to change. Okay, and the important thing here is in this room, you have the influence to change. All right? And the best way to have a good future, of course, is to create it. So with that, thank you for your participation, and may you be the change that you want the world to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Patrick Tiao, thank you for that wonderful note to close with. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please ask you all for a big favor? Let's give all our distinguished speakers another big, big round of applause. To all our moderators, our panelists for an incredible day. Thank you so much. To all of you as well for sticking around all the way till the end. And of course, I hope that you found this a most fruitful day. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget tonight, we look forward to seeing you at the gala dinner. Gentle reminder, it's at 7 p.m. sharp at the KL Hilton Grand Ballroom, KL Hilton Central. And to those of you who are staying at the KL Hilton Central, Le Meridian Central, or Aloft, there's actually a bus waiting outside at the main entrance to take you back. So thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Nadia Heng. It's been an absolute pleasure. Wishing you a great evening ahead. Goodbye. Thank you.